Hey everyone, it's Ashley Bernardi. I'm CEO and founder of Nardi Media. I am so excited to be here today with our guest, my mom, Marilyn Baird. She has been my greatest business inspiration, and in honor of celebrating Nardi Media's 10-year anniversary, which I can't even believe, I wanted to bring on my mom because she has been a successful business owner for many, many years. Here in the DC region, she is the founder and artistic director for Joy of Dance, which has been inspiring young dancers for nearly 30 years. And before that, she's had a long career as a professional ballet dancer. She worked for the NFL, Go Chiefs, among so many others that she's going to tell you about today. And here she's going to share her most important business lessons and impart some wisdom to you. So for anyone that may be joining live, feel free to drop some links in the chat here in LinkedIn. We'd love to hear your questions and comments. And Mom, thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you.
It's so fun to do this in person. So let's just get started with your journey of one, becoming a dancer, and then the path to entrepreneurship as a dancer.
Okay, well, let's see. I always loved to dance. And then so I decided to get my degree in dance from the UMKC Conservatory of Music. My teacher was Tanya Dosky from the Ballet Ruse. We had modern, we had ballet, we had point, we had character. It was just a wonderful experience. And then, I auditioned for the Kansas City Ballet and would do Nutcracker, Giselle. Also did a lot of modern dance work in the city too. Then I started teaching while I was getting my degree from Miller Marley School of Dance. And my mentor is Shirley Marley, because I said I learned more from her about dance and entrepreneurship than anything that I really learned in college. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Shirley had more Broadway dancers on Broadway than any other studio.
It still does.
Yes.
Look her up.
Yeah. Miller Marley in Kansas City. So I worked with her and she had me work with her. She was the director of the Chiefettes and I was a choreographer with her. I worked doing that from 75 to 1980. While I was teaching for Shirley, I decided that I would open my own studio. It was called Northland Academy and it was like 30 miles from her. So what we did is I would go over when I opened my studio and teach with her and she'd come over and teach with me.
So no competition, collaboration.
No, you have to collaborate.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you're working with people, it is, it's a family.
That's right.
And you treat all of the people, your entrepreneurs, as your family, and you respect them and love them. And my relationship has been beautiful with her because of that.
And still is today.
Yeah. But then I met her daddy, and that was like in 1980. He was at Command and Staff School in Leavenworth. He was moving to Germany. And he wanted me to go with him. And Shirley goes, don't do that. She said, you need to stay here. And no, just give him a year and let him go over there. But I said, no, I'm in love. I'm leaving. So when I went over there, of course, I started teaching for the military. I have a funny story about that. My soldiers,
Wait, what did you teach for the military?
Oh, not the military, just classes for the children and the soldiers. So the soldiers came to my jazz class and they had 3 months of jazz. So they came up, Mrs. Baird, we want to be in the military talent show. And I said, okay, guys. And I had guys and girls, but a lot of guys. And I said, okay, you're not going to win because we're going to have people that play the piano and they're going to sing. And so, okay, we're going to, and with the village people, we did, You Can't Stop the Music. Okay. They won the talent show. And my children won the talent show also with their little jazz piece in a children's talent show.
What made them win?
Because they were technically
they had a great teacher.
Well, you keep them together, you make them unified, but you also give them a lot of energy and the joy of dance. Like if that can come out across the stage, for me, that was the most important thing. And there wasn't a lot of activities for the kids in Europe. So, dance was a big, big thing. We had a great time, So then we moved back here. Ashley was 4 months old.
You skipped me being born in Germany. But
sorry.
I was born there.
Yeah, but she was born, and 2 weeks later, I was back in the classroom.
Yes, she always likes to say that.
But I was back in the classroom. So then we came home. She was 4 months old. I started teaching advanced jazz at a studio in Washington, and someone called this gentleman and asked if he would choreograph USL. He had done soccer choreography.
What's USL for folks that don't know?
Okay. That was USL League, Spring League that Trump had started way back in '83. So he said, no, I have somebody that worked with Kansas City Chiefs. And so they told me to come downtown to F Street for an interview. And I called, I said, well, I have a baby and I don't know anyone. So I had to get on a bus with her, find my way around, get downtown.
I didn't know this story.
Yeah. And then, they said, we'll hold the baby. You go in for the interview. So what? No. And so I got the job as a choreographer for the Washington Federals. And then the next job I had was for the Baltimore Stars, because the Federals went out after a year. And I was 7 months pregnant when I did the interview with them up in Baltimore. And they called me and they said, we have one question. Are you pregnant?
You didn't tell them in the interview.
And I said, yes. I said, what does that have to do with this?
Oh, hey. And that was 1985, people.
Yeah.
Listen to the legend here, paving the way for other women.
But then I delivered Alexander in the hospital, and Jimmy walks in and said, I've got a command. I said, well, that's great, because he wanted to be a commander. And he goes, yeah, we're leaving 3 weeks. I was on a plane 3 weeks later.
With a newborn and then a 2-year-old.
Out to California. Yep. And
did you teach there?
No, Daddy's command really demanded that I be available at all times, because they were
officer's wife,
light fighters that they could leave at any time. And so we were there at Honduras. I really needed to be there for my military family, And so then when we came back here, then I started
here in the DC area.
Yeah. Just
he was stationed at the Pentagon. And so you were you had to pick up and start over a lot.
That's the hard part. But then you have to remember, you just have to persevere. I mean, especially like things start and stop and start and stop. I always tell her the story of the chicken guys.
Colonel Sanders.
Yeah. Had 1,000 no's. Like, if you can't take your no's, don't get in an entrepreneur business.
Don't. That's the truth.
Yeah.
I learned that from her. And I think that's what's made me successful, is being completely unaffected by the word no. I am told no all day long, every day. And it's just like, okay, move on. And my other thing is, I love to turn no's into yeses.
Yes.
No means maybe. No just means like not right now in this actual second, which I think is a great lesson that I've learned in life. Okay. So take us through then where Joy of
Dance. Then I started teaching some private schools, and then they wanted me to find a place. So I found a place in a church, started out with 35 students and ended up with 500. So we had wonderful, great teachers come in. She had Francie Huber from Paul Taylor. She had
P.S. Francie's here right now,
and she had teachers from ABT, guest artists from all the ballet companies that would come into Kennedy Center. I would call and have them come and do master classes for the children.
And it was, and I'll just say, just from my perspective as a kid, it was an incredible performing arts center. It wasn't just dance.
No, we had Suzuki violin, Suzuki piano. We had voice lessons. We had art lessons. And the reason I did this, and let me tell you, I had them down at the torpedo factory for art lessons. I was driving down there and I thought, I want music lessons. Then I thought, why don't I put this all under my roof? And I was really one of the first persons in Washington that did start that. There is another school now that does that. But I didn't have to go anywhere. My children were with me 24/7, and they got all their lessons and everything. And that's what motivated me, was really like, I wanted all this for them.
Well, thanks. I mean, and again, that's the reason why I started my company, is because I wanted more family time. I wanted to be home with them. I didn't want to have to commute to DC. But going back to the studio, from a kid's perspective, my memory was that it was just a playground all day long, every day after school, 7 days a week, and then Saturdays and Sundays with dancing, acting, modeling, musical theater,
and I put her, and then
piano.
I had an international group come in and asked if the Chinese dance troupe come in.
Oh yeah.
If they could, rehearse at my school. Of course, I put them in the Chinese dance, and then I went to Kennedy Center, and here's my little
So
one.
as a kid, we get to perform at the Kennedy Center. So
with the Chinese dance group.
Yeah. So there were so many incredible opportunities. What do you think drove your success going from 35 to 500 students?
Well, we did do a lot of marketing in the area.
How did you do marketing?
Well, back then, you printed out a thing.
I remember flyers.
People's houses, and then I gave a discount, if you would enroll for your first enrollment. And I think once people started coming in, it was definitely word of mouth. Like, if you are good in business, you're not going to have to worry, really. If you give it your all, your 100%, your love, your passion, people know that. That's right.
And I think that's the feedback for me, because I saw your passion. I mean, you just started with the thing that you love the most, and that's how you monetized it. Because you've always told me, Ashley, do what you love, and you'll never have to work a day in your life.
Yeah.
And I mean, for you, I won't say what year you were born, but to probably tell your parents and others that you wanted to be a dancer, you probably got laughed at.
Yeah, because my brother went to West Point. My little brother was ROTC. Back then they wanted me to be an elementary school teacher.
Or
it
a
could
nun.
Be none, and it could be secondary.
Right,
yeah.
right, and but what I think I've learned so much from you is just you're such an independent. You're like, no, and also you don't follow societal's norms where it's like, oh yeah, women need to be housewives or they all need to be secretaries. You were like, actually, I'm going to be a dancer. And then I love the story of you going in for your interview. You didn't tell them you're pregnant. You're 7 months pregnant, and you go, yeah. What did you say? Is there a problem with that?
What does that have
what
to do?
What does that have to do with this?
What does that have to do?
I mean, hello, we can all learn from that. Okay, so let me go back to the studio. And I have to say, that was some of the best times in my life. The performance opportunities we got all over the region and beyond. Kennedy Center, openings of malls, I'll never forget.
And we started that Christmas production, Frosty Follies, and it was done first at Landmark Mall, and then it ended up being in the Old Town Christmas Tree pageant. And
it's still carried on today.
I have passed it on to other people. And so
it's been performed for presidents
since 1992.
Yes, which is incredible. Okay, so there was a point, though, you had a pivotal moment when you decided to close the studio. Mm-hmm. Why?
Well, the church, we had to find a new place to go, and then Daddy and I were looking and looking and looking. And, he said, you could be happy staying home too.
You'd worked so hard all these years.
But then what happened was.
Well, you ended up closing the studio and then staying home?
Yeah, for a little bit, but then her daddy passed away.
Then he passed away very suddenly. So which was horrible, and that turned our life upside down.
It did.
What happened after that to bring you back to dance? How did you find your rhythm again?
I knew at that time, because it was a very traumatic for all of us, that I needed to be with them. They needed to see me every day. That door needed to be open and I needed to be there. So I actually stayed home for 8 years. Okay. And then when she was going off to college.
Wait, question. In those 8 years, did you miss dance?
Yes, but
did you ever think about it?
All the time, but family first. Okay. And I mean, for all of you, that's what we have to always remember. Our heart is there first. Okay. And so then when she was getting ready to go to college, I thought, I got to start working again. We got married. I know I'm going to have college. I'm going to have marriage. So what I did is, I saw this ad in a paper. It said to teach in a preschool. I answered the ad. I took my suitcase into the preschool.
Why a preschool?
Because you can just go in, and it was easy to start a dance class, and but this lady was in Florida and hired me and never really knew anything and just put me in this. And I said to the director after a while, I said, you know what? I don't want to be with this woman. she doesn't even know me. I want to teach by myself. And she said,
oh, you were teaching with somebody else?
No, she hired me from Florida. Woman didn't even see me. And I thought, this is bizarre. And so the lady that was the director loved me. And so she said, yes, of course, let's just have you do this, And so then I started picking up more and more and more schools. Okay. And then McLean Community Center needed a teacher. They only had 6 children. They had a wait list on other classes. So they asked me to come in. Well, that's when I started teaching there, and we started Frosty Follies, and it grew. And at one point, after I started again, I was up to 700 students.
So even more than the studio before, because
I did outreach, I did McLean, I did the preschools, and then I started doing the public schools, after school programs, and hiring teachers and using my syllabus. My syllabus really works. It really teaches children. Parents realize they are really learning something. And
well, let's talk about your dance philosophy and what makes, because I, grew up as a dancer, and I still am a dancer, but I've seen also different syllabuses, and yours definitely stands out. What makes tell us your dance philosophy and what makes it different and what makes it stand out? Because as a business owner, you have to have that differentiator.
I think there's a lot of students just put people in and teach, and they don't guide and create something for their teachers to follow. So everyone is unified, and we know what it's like Suzuki, that what we're learning A, then we're going to B, then we're going to go to C. And I would say Shirley really helped me with that more than probably anybody. And then, I just started going to different seminars, picking up what I wanted to bring back to the syllabus. I went to the Royal Academy of Dance. I really liked their little baby pre-primary syllabus. So, I brought things back from that. I'd go to tons of workshops over the United States. I think you have to keep educating yourself no matter what. You never stop learning, no matter what. And you always want to learn. I'm always looking for something new, something technically new, a new song for the children, something that's going to be more exciting for them to be in class. All right. So I think that's one of the things, a constant learning is really important. And then bringing back what you learned and putting it in your entrepreneurship and in your job.
What do you love more, teaching or dancing, like the actual act of dancing?
Right now, I love being in the classroom, but mainly right now, I'm just teaching teachers how to teach. But once in a while, I'll go in with my former dance manager in McLean, because I don't do McLean, I sold that. But I'll go in because I just miss the children. I miss teaching, and she'll let me take over and just teach.
Yeah. And that's where I see you getting your greatest joy, when she's on a stage or backstage in her happy place as the stage manager, director, or teaching in a studio. So it's been a beautiful and long career for you, also, and a reinvention and finding your rhythm again after tragedy. So I think that's really inspiring to a lot of folks. And I think it also says, like, no matter what age or where you're at in your life, you can always begin again and find your rhythm again. What are some of your top lessons that you would want to share with anyone who has a business, is starting a business, is thinking about starting a business, but is scared to take the leap, or somebody who's stuck in,
don't
a cycle?
be afraid.
There you go.
Just start. You have to start, no matter whether you think you can do it or not.
Don't think, just do.
Exactly. Just think and just do. All right. Because that's going to get the ball rolling, the rhythm going, and like I said, if you have to make calls to, start your business and get no's, you keep going, because you will get yes. If you know that you have something really good to share with the world, let your passion just go out there and share it with the world.
I love that. Okay. So don't think, just do.
Right.
What else? What else have you learned in your
Well, it's
career?
hard work. I mean, you're going to have to realize that there's going to be a lot of long hours when you first start. And if you're not ready to do that, and, if you don't have the
passion
and persistence.
Yes.
And persistence. Okay. Because there were days that I had really long hours, 18-hour days. And when you're in production, it's definitely an 18-hour day,
But it doesn't feel like that because you're having fun.
No, but there's going to be times when you're tired. Let's admit.
And there's going to be really hard days too. I've learned that. We sometimes call each other like, oh, I had a really hard day today. And it's like, those days are temporary. You just got to get through them, and you have to put your big girl pants on and make some hard decisions and get it done.
Build a bridge and get over it.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
So there's a lot of tough love involved in it. But I also will say that, if you're going to start a business, you've got to be ready you got to love it. You got to eat, sleep, and breathe it. Wake up in the middle of the night, ideas in the shower, ideas when I'm not working.
I used to write
and there's no 9 to 5.
The
There's no 9 to 5.
No.
And that's the other thing that I think is that I love, the freedom that entrepreneurship allows me is I personally believe the structure of a 9 to 5 is archaic. It was started way back in the 1920s. And I just think entrepreneurs were dreamers, were visionaries, were creators. And that you can't put that in hours. You put it at moments of inspiration, moments of being a visionary. And if that's in the middle of the night, then so be it. And sometimes it is, even for me. For me, also, mostly it's for when I get my ideas when I'm running or right after I'm done dancing. But I just think that you got to really love it, or it's not going to work. Right. Yeah.
And then I look at her and I'm so proud of her, and she's just a wonderful mother, a wonderful wife, a wonderful entrepreneur, and you've just made a beautiful life. And I like that she has the flexibility in her entrepreneur to be able to be that wonderful mother.
And I love what I do. I love it. Okay. So talk to me about what you've observed as a mom in my journey when I was like, okay, I'm going to start a business. Like what was going through your head?
I was excited.
Yeah. You were like, yay, finally.
Yeah.
And then when it was starting to grow and be successful, what did you think?
I was so proud of you.
I'm
so proud of her. I am so proud of you.
Yeah. Were you surprised, or were you like, oh, wait, you know what? I've always lived this
Ashley
example.
has always been a leader. It didn't matter where you planted her. She was a leader she was a leader in high school. She was a leader in grade school. She was a leader in college. She's just a leader. She has that in her little soul to lead.
Well, right? I think I got that from you, and I got that from Dad. And I'm just really lucky that I was not raised in a family that's like, you gotta go to college and like get the 401. It's just like, just do what you love, Ashley. Just follow your dream. Do what you love. And I've always loved, what have I always loved? Like since I was a kid?
Dance.
Well, okay, dance. And what did I do?
I'll tell you a story.
Like, yes,
she used to carry a camera around all the time. And we let her have the big VCR and we let her play with it. And she would do weather reports, news report. And then, she'd tell her sister, look at me. She'd be ready to go.
I would produce newscasts. I would write newspapers.
As a child, she was producing newscasts. And for Christmas, we would send her weather VHS? Yeah, because she'd love to watch the Weather Channel. Weather fascinated her.
Yeah, I thought I wanted to be a meteorologist, but then I found like, I like covering weather, but I like covering everything.
Yeah.
And that's really, I love writing, and that like just writing just brought me so much joy.
Well, she did the newspaper. I mean, she was on everything.
Yeah.
Like she loved the newspaper.
I love the newspaper. I did, and I did that in college. I loved the yearbook in high school. I wrote a family newspaper. Like, so I would say for anyone who's like, well, I'm not sure what I love. What did you do as a child? Think about like, I'm assuming you danced and you love dancing as a child, right? Yeah. And yes, I still dance, and I haven't made a career of it like my mom, but it has been a side love and passion of mine. In addition to the work that I do at Nardi Media, but I love the work I do. There's nothing better. I like, truly, I feel like the way you do about like your kids in the classroom, having a client who has an amazing mission-driven message that's truly changing the world. And I get to be the one to get them out there, to help them amplify their voices through the power of the press. Like, hello, pinch me. I made that happen, and I made it happen because I had such a great example of it. So let my mom be your example too.
But that's what I love about her is her clients, and she's so enthusiastic and she's having so much fun and she puts so much energy in it, but you're so joyful about it.
I love it. Yes, because I have learned so much, growing up with you and seeing how much you love dance and you love work, but then also seeing other families like hate their jobs. Like, you got one life. Yeah. Right? Like, yeah. Why wouldn't you do what you love and follow your dreams? And I
never give up.
Never give up. Every day is a new day, and there's a new opportunity for the universe to deliver your dreams. You just have to put in the work. It's work. It's grit. It's resilience. It's risk taking. It's being told no over and over and over and over and over again. But it's possible. If you truly believe in what you're doing and what you love, you will be successful.
Yeah.
So what's next for Joy of Dance?
I like my balance right now.
Well, you just had a ton of recitals.
Oh, I had a recital.
She's still working. I won't say her age, but she's still
250 little children. Yes. That was so much fun. I mean, like I said, I feel like I'm on a cruise afterwards. I'm just playing and having the best time because it was such a great success. That's where I'm right now. That's where I want to be at my age, right?
I love it.
And then I have time for my grandchildren, which are my heart. And so I feel like as a senior citizen, and I am.
What? She's not. No way. We're sisters. I'm just kidding.
As a senior citizen, I have balance. People go, why don't you start? Why are you working? Why am I working? Because I love my work. I'm not going to ever give up my work.
Well, people even ask me, when are you going to retire? And I'm like, she's not. And why? If you're doing what you love, then why retire? And I feel like, and I think my husband Mike knows this. He's like, I can never see you just like fully retiring. Like I'm always going to have my hands in broadcasting, whether it's doing something like this. And I'm by no means slowing down anytime soon.
No.
We're celebrating our 10-year anniversary this year, which is so exciting. So, Mom, any messages for me headed into my next 10 years of Nardi Media?
Honey, I just think you're doing a wonderful job. Just keep doing what you're doing and keeping your passion alive. You're passionate, so you're going to be fine. For the next 10 years, you're just going to grow and grow and just keep growing your passion.
And I hope that I'm passing down the example of resilience, tenacity, persistence, and following your dreams. And I would not, if I didn't have that example, I wouldn't be here today. And I know we had, very sad life experience in losing dad when I was a kid, and, you were a young widow, but I think we've made the best of it.
Right.
And I think that having lost that young really taught me that like life, there is no room to waste
There's no redo. Just do.
There is no redo.
Yeah, just
and it's
do.
like, if you're not having fun, don't do it.
What is life all about?
What's life all about?
Yeah.
We saw that because my dad died so quickly of a heart attack. And as an 11-year-old, it changed my whole perspective. And now I'm like, if that doesn't feel good to me, I'm not doing it. Boop, not doing it, not doing it. And what has been consistently a do for me is Nardi Media. And for you, it's Joy of Dance. And it brings us so much joy, in addition to our families, my kids, your grandkids. That family has always been first. And that's why I started Nardi Media, because I was like, this whole 9 to 5 idea is doesn't work for me. I know it works for some, doesn't work for me. And also I want to be able to get my kids off the bus every day. I want to be able to go into school and not have to take a PTO or vacation. What? No, I'm just going to go do it because they're my kids. And that is my birthright and theirs to go see them. I shouldn't have to ask for permission. And, you've made me quite the independent, as you can see.
Yes.
So I just want to thank you, Mom. I know
you, Ashley. She's wonderful.
I love you too. And I hope that everyone listening got some good wisdom from my mom. I'm always learning from her. And I'm so lucky to have somebody who has been a mentor to me, like Shirley Marley has been a mentor to you, all about business. We can go to business school. It is a trial and error. But I will say this, you don't need to go to business school to be a successful entrepreneur.
No.
Look at all the successful entrepreneurs out there. They just had an idea that they loved.
A dream, and go forward with your vision and your dream.
Yep. So don't think, just do.
Just do.
All right. So I'll leave it there with that. If you want to learn more about Joy of Dance, Mom, what's your website?
www.joyofdance.org.
Okay, great. So follow joyofdance.org. And if you are in the DMV region and you are wanting to inspire any young dancers in your life, the Joy of Dance syllabus is the best place to go. And for Nardi Media, if you are a mission-driven entrepreneur, advocacy firm, nonprofit organization, we love working with companies and organizations that have mission-driven messages that are uplifting the world. And if that's you, we would love to hear from you. You can visit our website, nardimedia.com. All right, I hope everyone has a great day. Thank you, Mom, and thank you everyone for joining. Bye.